Hello, my name is Dr. Bob DeMaria. I'd like to welcome you once again to another Doctor to Doctor. And today, we're going to talk about a thought process that's going to be near and dear to each and every one of you. I want to talk about fat. The title of this segment is Know Your Fats. And I would have to say, out of anything in the world, probably one of the biggest confusions happened to come from fat. Do you know the very first item that came back to Noah's Ark was the olive branch? Now, to me, that's important because if it was the very first item that came back to the Ark, there has to be something going on with the olive branch, which means olives are very, very important. What I have in front of me today is an array of different oils. You see, oils give taste to food. 1 gram of fat has 9 calories. People tend to avoid fat like the plague because they think that if they eat anything with fat in it, they're going to get bigger. And I don't necessarily agree with that. Now let's use some common sense here. Yes, if you're going to eat a lot of fatty food, there's a lot of calories. Yes, you could have a challenge with that. But every cell is surrounded by a layer of fat. There is a term that we use called cis. Cis is the C-shaped fat molecule that's found in these 4 natural oils that I have here. When you have 2 cis molecules that will come together, over time, they'll help make cell membranes. So your body uses fat to make cell membranes. A part of a challenge that you deal with today, when I say you, I'm talking about people who live almost anywhere in the world, is that we have to contend with a fat called trans fat. Trans fat is a twisted fat molecule. So C's interlock with each other, but when you throw a T with the C, it causes confusion in the body, which can result in pain. And what I found from my experience could be one of the leading causes of ADHD, depression, and anxiety. So oil or fat is very, very important. Another challenge with trans fat is it literally causes inflammation in the body. And that's an important fact because I want you to become label savvy. If you see a package that says 0 grams trans fat on the front, the small print below will say per serving. You see, a package today can say 0 grams trans fat when there's 1 gram of trans fat or less per serving. What I want you to do is I want you to turn over to the nutrition facts, the side panel, and I want you to look for a term. It's called partially hydrogenated oils. Those oils are the same name as trans fatty acids. And see, trans fatty acids have been commonly used to make and fry the #1 vegetable in America, which is the French fry. The average American, including some of you watching me right now, and I'm not trying to be legalistic, I'm just trying to help you. Everything that I try to do is to help you make wise choices. Well, if your French fries are made with trans fat, it can impair function in your body. So fats are important. They make cell membranes. Trans fat confuses the body. Now, I'm going to take you to a whole nother level of thinking, a whole nother level of physiology. This is a printer cable. So back in the day, for those of you that are younger, we didn't always have wireless printers and wireless apparatuses. We used to use cables. Well, see, your body sends messages on a layer of fat on the nerve called the myelin sheath. So the myelin sheath is a layer of fat that's on the nerve. So when your brain sends down the billions of messages every day, it has to have good oil. If you've been consuming items like trans fat or breakfast pastries, and even some of your breakfast cereals, you could have inflammation inside of your body. Now, I have several items here I want to talk to you about today. First, walnuts. Walnuts are a great source of omega-3 fats. There's omega-3 fats, there's omega-6 fats, and omega-9 fats for the whole purpose of our conversation today. So walnuts are a great source of an omega-3 fat. That's a fat that's very important for your brain, so you don't have dementia, you don't have ADHD. I will use walnuts on a regular basis. I chop them up. You could add them to any of your hot cereals that don't have gluten in it. So walnuts are good. This is an avocado. I think avocado should be the #1 health food in America today. Great source of potassium. Great source of a monounsaturated fat. You see, Dr. Bob, that's a big word. So what I have right here is this is olive oil. The same fat that's in avocado is in olive oil. It's a monounsaturated fat, or an omega-9 fat. Now let me clarify some information here for you. When you put olive oil in a refrigerator, it's going to become semi-solid. It has to warm up to be liquid. And omega-6 fat is liquid in the refrigerator, and it's liquid at room temperature. You can heat olive oil to about 325 degrees. This is flax oil. Flax oil is also an omega-3 fat. Flax oil is found in, or the omega-3 fats found in flax oil is also important for brain function and for your heart. But when you consume this, it has to go through steps. And that's why sugar causes an issue for some of you, because see, sugar takes minerals out of your body. Your body will take the flax oil, go through steps, but if you've been eating sugar, sugar takes B vitamins out of the body, and magnesium and calcium and zinc. All those nutrients are important to process the flax oil. On the other hand, what I'm holding here is this is a marine oil. This oil happens to be from anchovies and sardines. You say, oh, I hate sardines and anchovies. Well, we promote smaller fish marine oils because they don't have all the toxins that some of the other oils do. You could take a teaspoon of marine oil on a regular basis. And finally, we have coconut oil. I use about a tablespoon of coconut oil every day. Now this is semi-solid when it's cool outside, and it becomes a little bit more translucent at room temperature. This is very good for brain health. This is not going to increase your cholesterol. Now you can heat with coconut oil, you can heat with olive oil. You do not want to use flax oil heated ever. I want you to think as oils, the oils I just mentioned, flax oil, olive oil, coconut oil, and the fish oil, of course, as putting out a fire. Trans fat causes a fire. I pray that this information makes a huge difference to your life. My name is Dr. Bob DeMaria, the drugless doctor. Thank you for joining me today. Hello, my name is Dr. Bob DeMaria, and welcome once again to another segment of Doctor to Doctor. And today, we have some very fun stuff we're going to talk about. It's called Know Your Numbers. You say, Dr. Bob, know what numbers? Well, there's some important numbers that I'd like to encourage you to do a little bit more research on after I'm finished with this segment. One of the first ones is called your HA1C. HA1C, write that down. And or sometimes it's abbreviated as your A1C. What I'm holding in my hand right now is a visual for a red blood cell. In the human body, there is a test where glucose attaches to a red blood cell. We call that the HA1C test. Now, the significance of it is very, very important because, see, glucose is on a red blood cell, and it gives us a pattern of how you are doing with your blood sugar stress and how much sugar that you're consuming in your body. When I turned 50 years old, I had to pass a test called the BMI, which we'll talk about for the next number. When I turned 55 years old, I had to pass my HA1C. If I did not pass that particular test, my self-pay health insurance would have elevated. So this is really significant because I just recently read that there's an epidemic of young children today that have diabetes, and I know that diabetes is the third biggest killer in our society. So you could go to your healthcare provider and have a fasting blood glucose, and he could tell you that you're okay, but that's really the blood sugar that you've had the last 24 to 48 hours. We encourage all of our patients to have their HA1C done at least one time a year. Because see, and you have to look at the range of the lab that you're using, but generally, if you're above 6, you need to really sit down and evaluate what you're putting inside of your body. Because you do not want to have blood sugar issues, because it can cause some devastating challenges. Your HA1C. This is a tape measure. Could be a friend, could be a foe. The BMI is your body mass index. Now, there's a very elaborate formula, and you could very easily do a search on the internet, and you can just type in BMI calculator. Generally, what you're going to do is you're going to put your height and you're going to put your weight. And the number is calculated within certain ranges. Now, I'm going to tell you what I've learned from my own experience, that you want to be 25 or less with your BMI, because that's considered normal. Above 25 is considered overweight, between 25 and 30. You do not want to be 30 and above, because that is considered obese, and you can have possibly some health challenges, and you could also have some other challenges, including blood pressure, and you may have some difficulty getting health insurance even today. So these are some very important factors that you need to be aware of. So your BMI is your body mass index. Now, with this tape measure, and you want this tape measure to be your friend. Ladies, you really don't want your number, that is your waist number, should never be larger than 35 inches. Because if it's larger than 35 inches, you have a greater potential to have long-term health and cardiovascular problems. Gentlemen, if your waist is greater than 40 inches, that's not very good, because see, any waistline greater than 40 inches creates stress to your heart, which takes me to the next number that I'd like to talk about, and that happens to be your blood pressure. Now, there's two numbers I want to talk about here. The first is called your systolic blood pressure. That's the amount of pressure that the lower valves of your heart, your pumping part, have to push through the rest of your body. It's called the systolic blood pressure. We like it to be generally about 120. That's the amount of pressure that those ventricles through those valves are pushing out to the rest of your body. See, for every pound that you're overweight, that adds 200 miles of extra blood vessels, which means that that heart has to beat harder to push that blood through all of that adipose tissue. Now, the other number is the diastolic number. That's the number of and how fast the blood comes forced back into your heart. The challenge with that number is it can create stress to your heart chamber wall. Because see, when that blood comes flowing back really fast and hard, it can weaken heart muscle. That's one of the reasons I encourage my patients to lay on the right side of their body when they're sleeping at night, because the blood flows back into your heart this way. So 120 over 80 is what we like to see normal. And I'm going to share a little secret with you. And I've been practicing since the 1970s. So I have seen a few people in my lifetime. Recently, something's going on in America and probably around the world. I'm having more of my female patients that are coming into my office that are 45 years and older, that are having heart palpitations, anxiety, leg cramps, constipation, and high blood pressure. Now, you always want to talk to your personal health care provider, but we've been having great success using magnesium. We use an item called magnesium orotate for our patients. And what's happened is that I really believe that something either in our environment or something that we're eating is altering chemicals, altering elements inside of our body, because I want you to know, I consistently see improvement with our patients' overall blood pressure just by adding magnesium before they go to bed. And magnesium is very important for colon or bowel function. Now, let's get down to nature, because in the Bible, in Genesis chapter 1, God said to eat food from seed-bearing plants. A natural source of magnesium is any green food. I love kale. Kale is the new beef. Broccoli, collard greens, celery, any kind of romaine lettuce. Green is chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is magnesium. Magnesium is found in chlorophyll, and iron is found in blood. So if you're having a constipation issue, heart palpitations, maybe a little anxiety, higher blood pressure, be checked by your personal health care provider. You may want to try some magnesium. We use magnesium orotate very successfully. But once again, we want food to be your medicine and medicine to be your food. Now, when it comes to this waistline, what I'm going to really encourage you to do is start becoming calorie conscious. Some of you might not even be aware of the number of calories that you're putting in your body on a daily basis. So here's suggestion number one. Look at your calories. Eliminate the obvious ones. Add more greens, great source of magnesium. Start exercising a half hour every day and burn those extra calories, even if that means buying a large ball and bouncing on it. Drink water from a pure source. Minimize or eliminate soda pop, because that definitely can be an issue. Try to eliminate stress. I know that it's not always easy, but I know that I read my word, and I'm going to tell you a little secret. I started listening to my word on my phone because we're going to learn by hearing the word. Thank you. My name is Dr. Bob DeMaria. Thanks for joining another Doctor to Doctor.